And welcome back. I got a little time before I go to work, so let's get this who would win out of the way. From Jay Lyon, the question of who would win a fight, John Wick, John Rambo, or John McClane, is our topic for today. So, as a dig at tea, in a three-way fight, who would win? Well, let's get it right out of the way very quickly. I think we all agree John McClane, sadly, is the odd one out here, and he is going to get taken down very quickly. The reason for that is while he has survived some very abnormal events for a regular cop and done some amazing things, skill-wise, he's not up in a one-on-one and a one-on-three or three-on-three, not even three-on-three, 1v2 scenario, basically, all around. One-on-one, three ways. He just doesn't. He's not up to snuff. He has a firearm, but John is a crack shot, would put a bullet in his head in a moment. Rambo is I don't think has quite that quick draw. He's not a trained assassin. He's a soldier, but he's far more physically fit than John. Can take a lot more of a beating, and is John McClane. I gotta try using their last names. He's far more physically fit than McClane, and therefore, I think he just knows, because as a trained soldier, he knows how to outlast him. Well, McClane definitely can beat individuals who are more experienced and stronger than him, like he did with, Carl. Carl, I believe, was the German henchman, the blonde. While Carl definitely was that, he's just overall more powerful and skilled than McClane. McClane did beat him, but A, McClane got his ass kicked in that fight and still managed to beat him. But B, he was in a scenario where he could get the upper hand on him. There were chains. He was able to get the drop on him at one point. So, unless the scenario is really tailored to McClane, he's not going to be able to beat either Rambo or John Wick. He's just not. And even then, both these guys are, Rambo's skilled at guerrilla warfare. He's just a better version of McClane, basically. So, yeah, McClane, sadly, in the Battle of the Johns, McClane's going to fall short. So it's really going to come down to Rambo versus John Wick. So the soldier versus the assassin, who's going to win in that regard? And, the problem here is that John Wick is coming in actually armed. He's coming, when I mean armed, I don't mean just with fire weapons and a lot of clips. Like, the man is armed to the teeth and a knife, but he's actually armored. Like, whatever Rambo is shooting at, Rambo would definitely have a weapon or two, unless it's like, say, a 50 caliber round, which I guess is possible, but that's generally not in Rambo's repertoire. Even if it is, he's not carrying a 50 cal rifle on him. Even the exploding arrow, by all accounts, John's armor should actually be able to take that. Wick's armor should. Now, granted, that one might leave a mark. Like, it would probably end up revealing the armor underneath. But as far as we know, it should take that. That being said, standard arrow, maybe not, believe it or not, because it's a different type of weapon versus a firearm or an explosive, because all that. The reason knives and arrows are different to Kevlar than, say, bullets are is because bullets, while pointed, are more like a cylindrical point. Therefore, all the energy gets displaced and it just carries through the Kevlar. All the energy of an arrow or a blade, when you're stabbing or shooting, is concentrated to the point. And when you're doing it at high speeds, velocity, that can bypass bulletproof armor to a degree. It depends on where you hit it and how powerful you're hitting it, but it can bypass that because of concentrating the energy into a smaller area. But that being said, that's a kind of best case scenario there for the arrow. John most likely is either going to be firing at Rambo. Again, skill-wise, Rambo is simply just a soldier. He's a good soldier, but he's just a soldier. Wick is a trained assassin and a crack shot. Like, comparatively, he's the best marksman probably among the group here. He's also probably the best in terms of just straight skill in hand-to-hand combat, although Rambo is always in shape. and he's got the psychological scars and trauma to kind of go ham on John Wick if he needs to, and the giant F-off survival knife, which, like I said, would bypass Wick's armor. Now, granted, slicing isn't going to really do much against that armor. That can withstand a slicing motion. You're going to have to go for the stabbing motion. Or Wick's going to have to just basically aim for a spot other than his body armor, which, as we saw in John Wick 2, it's only his jacket that's armed. It's not his shirt. So that is actually if it gets in close, that is a possible avenue for Rambo to win. Not to mention that if Rambo has time to set up traps, that could be problematic for Wick. Wick, however, is also a beast in his own right. The man can muscle through God knows how much pain and keep going. And by the end of the fourth movie, even though he falls down dead at his funeral, it is revealed by a director that and you can even see, if you watch that scene again, the last scene, you can even see some choices they make that show that Wick is still alive, and the fact they shot an alternate ending with him alive, just showing he's alive. But yeah, no, he is alive at the end of the fourth movie, and with the amount of freaking damage he took in that movie, dear God, how is that man still alive? The guy, side note, the guy who's doing the new Highlander film is now basically the Kevin Feige. He shepherds the John Wick and the Highlander universe now. And I hear that, and I heard someone say, what if you crossed him over? John Wick's a Highlander. That's why he never dies. Like, it weirdly makes sense. That would actually, those are two universes that could actually make sense crossing over, and I'd be here for it. But regardless, unfortunately, I think it's going to be the unfortunate answer for some people. I think John Wick is going to basically overwhelm Rambo. He carries far more firearms on with far more ammunition constantly than Rambo does. Rambo actually doesn't normally have a lot of firearms on call. Rambo, as I say, is a master of guns and tanks. He's a guerrilla warfare expert. He can use firearms. He knows how to use them, and he's very good with them, but he doesn't normally have them on call. He normally is kind of just going au naturel when he's going up against his opponents. Even if I do give him firearms, Wick is easily just as good, if not better, with a gun than Rambo is. So if we come in close range, that's weirdly enough where I think Rambo stands the best chance, is in close range. While Wick does seem to have superhuman levels of strength, at least for his world, Rambo is also in immensely good shape if we're looking at peak Rambo. So these guys probably just swiping the blade. Now, luckily, Wick knows to let the blade hit his armor. Wick is also a very smart fighter too. He pulls out his smaller knife, and he just, Rambo's trying to get the blade in him, and even though you can pierce the armor, it will stop the blade or the arrow to a degree, but it would still pierce him. So John has let himself be injured before to get the killing or finishing blow in. So I think he knows he's got to do it. Unfortunately, it's a big fuck off knife, so he's got to figure out a way to not get a lethal blow if he can. Unfortunately, I think it is going to be like right here or maybe even here. Luckily, it's not going to pierce his heart, I think. Because your heart's more like right there. I think it's got to pierce his shoulder. Not go real, like the knife is like that big. I think you're looking about maybe an inch of the knife going in, which is still a lot and still very damaging. As Rambo's trying to push it in, Joe just starts just grabbing him, just stares him in the eye, and then Rambo drops. Both these guys are brutal. Both these guys are lethal. John, though, we've seen John literally in the span of about a couple of weeks wiped out hundreds of individuals. Hundreds! In the span of just a few weeks. In the span of the Rambo movies, Rambo he's got an impressive body count, definitely, but not John Wick levels. Now, granted, his body count might be even higher than John's for the movies because of his time in the war, but Vietnam was, or was it Korea? No, I keep forgetting. Was it Vietnam or Korea? I think it was Korea. Point being, he might have killed like hundreds. John Wick has been doing what he's been doing for decades. His body count far exceeds Rambo's. Far exceeds. So unfortunately, John McClane is the odd one out here. He's just not skilled enough to really be able to take on these guys. John Wick, I think, would be the winner here. Rambo would be a tough cookie a little to a degree. Soldier versus assassin, it all depends on the environment. If we're in the woods, John Wick would definitely be more at a disadvantage, but I still don't know if he'd lose. But if we're just doing on like an even playing field here for everyone, I would say John Wick is the winner here. This is just my opinion, though. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.